welcome to the Headwaters of the Comal Archaeological Site 41 CM 204. This is week 6 of our blog posts, and we are this is our last day before we take a little break for holidays. We'll be back in January to pick up where we left off. But this week we're going to tell you a little bit about what we've done and tell you a little bit about our sort of featured topic of the day is why do we dig in blocks. So let me give you an update. Oh, and let me apologize a little bit at the beginning. We're underneath a tarp that we're trying to use to secure the site, especially after today. It's going to be a little gusty, so sometimes the gust will override sort of my voice. But we're going to do our best to try to work around that as best we can. So that's one of the side effects of working outside. So.
Yeah, it's a really windy day in New Braunfels, and this is part of this blog post, or day in the life of archaeologists, and this is a day in the life of the archaeologist working in 25, 35 mile an hour winds under a tarp. So bear with us, but we'll do the best we can, guys.
Sure. So I'm going to go ahead and give you the update, and Josh is going to do the present of our topic of the day. So let me go ahead and get started. We're right really in Block A. We removed feature 50, which is that sort of earth oven feature. It's basically where the camera is right now, is where that hearth feature was. We've excavated that out and gathered all the data that we can possibly get from it. And then we moved on to removing this very large burn rock midden. And as you can see, we're kind of moving back from sort of where the camera is and moving off in this direction and removing the feature sort of one unit at a time to sort of get all the material out and get all the data together. We're also expanded this block to a little in this direction. It used to be a 4x4, and now it's a 5x4. We one whole row out. As you can see, the burn rock midden continued on into the next row, and so it looks like it will continue on again. So this is a huge midden. We're going to really explore out this way and see how far it can go. Block C was drying out after the last rainstorm, but we were able to sort of get back in and start excavating units in that again. We are now working below the hearths that we have shown you in these previous videos. So we're still getting a tremendous amount of artifacts coming out of those units, particularly a lot of lithics, a lot of sort of chipping debris, and a lot of bone. And so the bone is a really particularly interesting item to be finding in such quantities that we're finding them. That really kind of indicates that we're in a living surface. And we'll be exploring a lot sort of what that means later on. Block B, if you recall, had that very nice burn rock midden that we busted through and collected the data from that. And after that, there was a layer of some pretty high artifact counts. But after that, then we've got a whole lot of sterile dirt. Sterile in this case just basically means not a lot of cultural material in it. So that speeds up the process quite a lot for us because we don't have as much data to collect. So we're trying to bust through that. Pardon.
Be glad you all are inside today.
Inside
I
today,
assure you.
yes, exactly. We're going to bust through that as quickly as we can. We have a personal goal of getting that entire block down to 2 meters below ground before we're done today. So we're so close. You know, we might be able to be like a hair shy of 2 meters all the way across, but we're definitely 2 meters down on one row. So we're super excited about that.
Yeah, that'll be a subject of a later discussion. Charles Frederick, who has been out here with us, our geomorphologist, he's kind of alluded to the fact that that's the unit we want to get the deepest in. And so Jason and Noel have been doing a tremendous job of getting deep, and hopefully before too long we'll have some interesting findings to come out of that block over there.
Okay. Josh, you want to take it over?
Yeah. Okay, guys, so we're going to move on to segment 2 today, which is as our director, Mason Miller, has pointed out, y'all are a bunch of squares, I tell you. And so today we're going to talk...
You've already gotten quite a few compliments on your hat.
Oh, thank you. This was a gift from Russell Turner, who may be out there today watching us. He decided I needed a new hat for out here on the video segment, so I thank you, Russ. But moving along, so today we're going to discuss kind of what the basics of what we would call like a field school would be. And so we're going to go over the very, very basic levels of what a test unit is, which is essentially the what we dig in, like our measurement system that we use out here. And to all of you out there, non-archaeologists, we use the metric system, which is a much different system than the English system. Yeah, the American system. So y'all sort of work in feet, inches, stuff like that. An archaeologist, we primarily use meters and centimeters. And so I'm gonna be describing meter units and centimeter levels today, and those reflect what a meter is essentially 3 feet, a little bit more, and 10 centimeters is what, like three or four inches. So you got to think But what we have right here in Block A, we're about halfway through our excavation down, and this represents what is a 1 by 1. And a 1 by 1 meter test unit is essentially exactly how it sounds. It's a square unit that we use to kind of guide our excavations. And so
1 meter from here to here.
Exactly. And so why do we use them? What are the related components? And why do we put them where we do? And so this right here, this is the most standard size. We may, depending on the location of what kind of deposits we're working in, we may shift to like a 2 by 2 or a 3 by 3. And what you're looking in right here, this is a 4 by 5. We're all kind of in a 4 by 5 meter block, and that's sort of what we use as like our big sort of, I guess.
Horizontal. Like we're really interested in looking for at horizontal surfaces. We use big blocks for that. If we want to really punch down into the ground the vertical stratigraphy, then we'll stick with a 1 by 1 and just dig it really deep.
Yeah. And so what we've done here in Block A, this is a pretty good example. What we've done is this was originally as a 4 by 4 meter block, and we started off as that because we knew we would be able to get 16 units in this block. And essentially, think of it as like kind of like Legos. I know Mindy was out here with some first graders earlier in the week. Some of you may be joining us today, but she made the comparison to Minecraft. You know, and these are sort of Minecraft.
This really is a Minecraft block. If you take a Minecraft block and make it a 1 meter by 1 meter by 1 meter thing, that's exactly what we dig in. But the Minecraft block, instead of one big chunk, we split it up into 10 segments. So it's a Minecraft block in 10 bits.
Yeah, so essentially what it does is like we came down on this burned rock feature that we've kind of featured in a couple other segments, video segments. And what it does is when we come down on something this big and this interesting, it enables us to kind of very, very precisely open it more and more and more. And so what we've done here, what you're looking at is this 1 meter by 1 meter unit that we haven't actually, we've excavated. I'm standing in one right here.
Yeah, and
this is one we've taken down. Here. Mindy's in one that she's taken down. Mm-hmm. And this one is reflective of one that we haven't, in a way.
As an example, say we have this giant field of burned rock. But we want to be able to see whether or not there are certain areas of this great big block that has more burned rock and some areas that have less. It's very hard for us to tell just by looking at it with our eyes. But if we collect all this burned rock here in this 1 meter unit, it's one tiny piece, and we can compare this amount of burned rock with this amount of burned rock and find out that maybe this is more than this, and we might be able to say something interesting about this whole burned rock midden field as a result.
Exactly, and it also, you know, outside of burned rock, it also gives us the chance to sort of, like I was saying, quantify other aspects of it. For example, yesterday when we were digging, this projectile point came out of the test unit, and I was able to identify and what we call piece plot it directly to this section of the 1 by 1, and that's sort of being able to identify and quantify exactly where it came from, the depth, and its location in the 1 by 1 meter unit will give us more what we call like a spatial analysis of what we're looking at. So like, why was this point here, and did we find others around it? You know, so I don't know. It's
And then, well, another good point in the paperwork was that we can use the data that we collect here. These 1 by 1 meter, 10 centimeter levels are very standard in our field. And so we can use this information to compare it with other sites that have used the same methodology that we are using and do a cross comparison between what we found and what they've found and be able to talk not only about stuff that's sort of intra-site, but stuff that's regional as well.
Very good point. Very, very good point, Mindy. It's essentially, it's our version of a way of just, it's like a file system almost in a way. Like it's our way to be able to keep track of everything that we pull out of this, where exactly it came from, because after we get all of this data out, it's gone. Like, archaeology is a very destructive process. I mean, we literally come in here and we remove all of this out that's been here for thousands and thousands of years. And so, we don't just want to pull it out really quickly, we want to be able to do it very slowly and in a way where we can recreate it. As we progress through the excavation and onto the report that we'll be submitting at a later date, you'll get to see this all kind of, you know, this process drug out or not, I'm sorry, not drug out, but sort of, you know, on a bigger scale, and we'll be able to say, you know, how much rock came from each one of these units together, and that, you know, compare it, as Mindy was saying, regionally to other areas, and so on and so forth. So this is just our way to keep track of it and to be able to quantify it later on.
All right. Well, that's basically the explanation. All right. You want to do Q&A really quick?
Yeah, let's do it.
So we do have a couple of sample questions that have been submitted.
And then we
Yep.
have one
One
question about the white background, which I'm assuming is
Oh.
the tenting. How big
Yes.
is this?
It is a 20 by 40.
Yeah, this is a 20 by 40
so 20
wedding
by 40
tent.
feet.
Yeah.
Foot tent. Yes, and it's covering up our 4 by 5 meter excavation block. So.
This is a really good representation of us making do with what we have out here, because usually this would be up on poles and up, and there'd be sides on it. It's a wedding tent, but because of the wind, we've just kind of taken all the legs off, stuck it on the bottom, and weighed it down with sandbags.
Yep.
So we can work in here and not be.
And it's nice because we can, since we're digging down into the ground, we have plenty of. Yeah.
And it was actually also about the dirt in the corner there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Oh, you mean this guy where the flags are?
The flags or the disturbance?
The disturbance.
Okay, so yeah, so what Mindy's pointing at right there is, you know, we've touched on this a couple times out here.
This here?
But there's been a series of, you know, disturbances that's happened out here over the years from, you know, construction by NBU, or, you know, the fish pond that was out here at one point. And to be honest, we don't know what it is. We just know that it's a disturbance.
Yep.
It looks like it was something that was dug out, perhaps like a fence post or something like that, and then backfilled in with some sort of fill material, and it's clearly different, as the viewer pointed out, to the surrounding soil, and that's how we know it's not a modern process.
Yeah, the other thing is that it's super nice, clean. Look how clean the sides are. That means that some person did the digging rather than an animal, or it being natural phenomena, tree root or something like that. If we were getting into an animal burrow, for example, we'd be seeing sort of different kinds of evidence. It would be sort of more circular and different shaped, and it'll radiate out. But this is super clean, so we know that it was a person did that. So only people dig in nice square.
Yeah.
like us, for example, we dig in nice square holes.
Yeah.
So.
And you know, and you know, that just reminded me. I want to jump back really quickly to what we were discussing earlier. We dig in squares so that we can have, like Mindy was alluding to, walls, and we have the walls so we can be able to identify disturbances like that. And you can see, like, it's called stratigraphy. We want to. The purpose of having these walls is the deeper we go, we can tell. Ascertain or basically figure out different activities and different time periods based on the stratigraphy that we have inside of these blocks. And so
even from this wall, you can kind of see this dirt is different than this dirt, which is different than this dirt, which is different than this dirt. So a nice flat vertical wall gives us a chance to be able to do that. This is better than even a cut bank on a riverbed, because even those cut banks are flaking off and sloughing off bits and things like that. You get a pretty good profile, but this is even better. You got a really good sense as to what the soil is doing up and down.
Yeah. And so as the deeper we go, the older the soil generally is, and you know, it kind of helps us also keep track of where, like this projectile point that I showed you guys earlier, what level it's coming out of and what soil designation it's coming out of is also going to give us hints as to its age and its use as well.
All right, do you want to answer some of these questions?
Yeah, let's do some.
How many test units have you dug since being an archaeologist?
Man, I don't even want to think about that right now. But I would say easily over in my 13-year career, probably over 500. I would guess.
Whoa, that's a lot more than I have.
That's. I mean, I've done.
He's done a lot more than me.
Yeah.
So, is it hard to dig holes like this?
I will say the older that I get, it is
Yeah,
the
older
harder
it
it
gets.
becomes. Your bones and knees and ankles and
Yeah.
joints definitely start to deteriorate, as Mindy can also probably attest to.
And we do have a few specialized tools. So normally, this is this sort of the everyday shovel that we use. But Josh here has this awesomely cute, tiny little baby shovel that we use to sort of excavate, especially in tight corners. This thing's adorable.
It helps with the back. But so yeah, so yes, it does. It does get hard to dig these holes. When I was younger, I could knock, as many as 5-6 levels out a day, like Jason is doing on Block D. But
it's
now,
harder now.
it is, and a lot of it gets harder too with the different, like we're digging in burned rock, solid rock. I mean, this is almost 80 kilograms of rock that you're looking at right here in one unit, and I'm not a math guy, so I can't convert that instantly to pounds, but it's heavy. I can assure you, it's very heavy.
All right, next question is why are the sides so straight?
Well, we kind of touched on that.
We touched on it a little bit. One of the things we're talking about when we do also do volume analysis as well back in the lab, and when we do volumetric analyses, it's really important for us to make sure that the dirt that we're sort of comparing this dirt to this dirt is exactly the same dirt, the same quantity of dirt. Yeah. We have to dig these in really precise, 1 by 1, 10-centimeter levels as much as we possibly can, to be able to make those volumetric data analyses a little bit more reliable and predictable. So we're a couple minutes away from the end of our video. We are going to be taking a break, as I said at the beginning, for the holidays, and we'll be back
January 10th,
January
I believe.
10th?
Right?
Yes, okay. And with a new video and a new segment. So we'll be thinking over our special dinners about what great video segments we're going to be playing.
Yeah,
for the
how
next
many buckets of rock we'll be carrying out, as you can see. Like, lovely. This is another one of our favorite tools.
Boy.
Yeah, how many buckets? I mean, Minnie and I were just talking this morning about how we wake up in the middle of the night thinking about this. Flakes, rocks. Unfortunately, for the next 10 days, we won't have to.
We won't. Yes.
Well, we probably will.
We will be enjoying ourselves with our families.
Exactly.
So we're going to sign off for this particular video and for the next couple of weeks, and we hope you guys will return. Please, after we finished uploading this video, like, subscribe. Please ask more questions, either on the comments below the video, to be able to sort of give us fuel for the next time we come back. We really would appreciate. We're here to find out what you guys want to know. And so ask us questions, we'll be happy to answer them.
Yeah. Well, so thanks, guys. And again, apologize for the wind. And hopefully next time we see you, it will not be as noisy and loud. So.
But it might be as cold.
All right. See you later.